After spending the first couple of years of my virtual assistant journey doing everything for everyone, I've definitely learned the power of the phrase, just because you can do everything doesn't mean you should. You've heard me talk about the phrase unicorn VA before, right? That's the industry term for a multi-talented and well-rounded virtual assistant. As I shared last week, that's kind of who I was at the beginning of my VA journey. We often see the phrase unicorn VA pop up in job postings where clients are looking for that magical person who can do all the things for them, from inbox management to social media to copywriting to website updates and everything in between. And most new virtual assistants, like me, are proud at the beginning of their journey to be able to offer all of those different services. And when we see job postings like that, it feels like a dream opportunity. But take it from someone who's been there. As magical as the word unicorn sounds, it's covering up an ugly truth. Being someone else's everything will only lead you to frustration, and it will keep you stuck in your business. In this episode, I'm sharing why unicorn virtual assistants often get burned out quickly and don't hit their income goals. If you're a multi-talented service provider who hasn't seen the growth you'd expect in your business based on your skills, this episode is just for you. Hey, you guys, welcome into the Support Squad podcast. So I always like to give a little bit of a disclaimer whenever I'm talking about the term unicorn VA. I know some of us use that word differently, but for our purposes, we're talking about someone that is multi-talented, well-rounded, and is kind of doing way too many different things for their clients. And I want to let you know right now, there is no shame if that's where you are right now. That's where I was for the first couple of years in my business. It's common for really talented people to have a hard time finding direction in their business. But today I want to share why it might be time for you, if that's where you are right now, to start to shift out of that all-purpose kind of unicorn VA, everything to everyone, and start to think seriously about niching your business. One of the biggest problems when you are that unicorn VA is that you're not in the driver's seat of your own business. You know, you think about these clients who post these job ops looking for this unicorn VA. They're not looking for someone who's going to come in their business and kind of show them how it's done. They're looking for someone that's going to take a lot of tasks off their plate and kind of be at their whim a little bit. So one reason a lot of us start our businesses is because we hear this phrase, be your own boss. You know, we think as a virtual assistant, we can be free of like the corporate boss, be free of our 9 to 5, and finally be working for ourselves. And what I found is that when I went into my business as a unicorn VA offering all of these different services, I suddenly found myself with 4 bosses. You know, I had 4 clients who relied on me for a lot, and they all relied on me for very different things. So that's when I realized, like, being a virtual assistant, you know, that be your own boss thing is kind of a myth until you really niche down your business and find some structure. So if that was your goal in your business, to be your own boss, to really have more control over your day, over your life, over the kinds of work you do, it's not going to serve you to continue to work for clients in that capacity. You'll be your own boss, and you'll feel more in control and find more freedom when you do start to move towards a more specialized way of working with people. Another place that comes up where we're not really in the driver's seat, it happens right from the get-go. That dynamic really gets established in the discovery call. Because think about it, if we get on a discovery call with a potential client that's looking for a unicorn VA, what that call turns into is them just explaining their wish list of everything they need a virtual assistant to do. And what you might not realize is that when you become more specialized in your business, you are so much more in control of that conversation, because you know what kind of process you're going to lead your client through. You know what kind of transformation you can provide. Whereas the client that shows up to a sales call with a unicorn VA and just has a laundry list of things, they don't really have an end goal. They don't have an end result that they want. And so it's hard to kind of make them see what you can do for them. I also find that when that dynamic is established with a client where they're just telling you all the things they desperately need a VA for, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do all of these different things? I need that magical unicorn to help me. A lot of times what happens is that is a very busy person that does not have time to manage someone. And when you are kind of that all-purpose general VA, it really takes like a lot of communication and a client that's willing to manage that relationship, because you're not really clear exactly what they need. And so what ends up happening a lot of times is those relationships fall apart. If there's not a clear reason that they're coming to you, if you're not providing a clear result from them, like start to finish, if you're just doing all of these different things, it can be hard to know where to begin. They get overwhelmed thinking about how to bring you on to all of these different systems. And I see this a lot with like folks in my membership community, clients I work with. What happens is these clients kind of back off. They get overwhelmed by the prospect of managing this relationship. And a lot of times they ghost or they move on to something else. They decide, you know what, this is too hard to manage a person doing all of these different things. I'm just going to keep doing it myself because I'm too overwhelmed to even know where to begin. So that's another way that unicorn VAs get kind of screwed over a little bit because it's like they can do all of these things, but the person that needs all of those things done probably doesn't have their business totally together in order to support a virtual assistant on their team. And then, of course, one of the places you're going to get hit the hardest as a unicorn VA is in your pockets. Because what happens when you offer all these different services, it becomes near impossible to create packages for your business. So you get locked into kind of an hourly pricing. And in case you didn't know, hourly pricing is not really the best, most profitable, sustainable way to price your services. And there's a couple reasons why. So first of all, we all know that like different services have different value. So maybe scheduling social media posts, that doesn't have the same value as like copywriting for a sales page. And if your client has you doing both of those things, or all different kinds of things that require different skill sets, are valued at different rates, what they tend to do is get kind of nitpicky because they don't see the value, because they see it all kind of lumped together as one. And so they start to wonder like, why was she so quick with uploading those social media posts, but she's taking forever with writing that sales page? And they start to think maybe this virtual assistant is trying to like pull the wool over my eyes, or like charge me more hours for work that shouldn't take that long, because they don't see the value of all of those separate services. And this kind of goes into something that I share a lot with. I get a lot of business owners coming to me looking for VAs. That's why I have my matchmaking for my support squad members. But a lot of times they come to me with that laundry list of things, and I'm like, the problem is like, this isn't, it wouldn't be good for one person to do all of these different things, because all of these skills and tasks would be valued at different rates. It doesn't make sense for one person to do all of these different things. So I'm always on the VA side. I'm always trying to coach business owners like, hey, it's gonna make more sense to really hire the right person for this job. And so it really goes both ways with our clients. I've definitely found with business owners, it doesn't serve a business owner to have a unicorn VA, one person doing all of these different things in their business. It really doesn't work for them either. So it's really a lose-lose situation anytime you have one person handling too many things in someone's business. Another terrible thing that happens when you stick with hourly pricing is that you actually punish yourself for getting better at your job, which is a tragedy. So when I think about like podcast management, for example, since I'll be talking about that a lot over the next month or so, but when I think about podcast management, when you first start as a podcast manager, maybe it takes you a little bit longer to edit some things. Maybe, you haven't quite figured out all the systems yet. You're still having to look some things up. You're having to take a little bit longer. But over time, every time you produce a new episode, it goes a little bit faster. If you're charging hourly pricing for that, what happens is you're working faster and getting paid less. So when you are a unicorn VA who's doing all these different services and you haven't learned how to create a package, you're really selling yourself short. You're missing out on income, and you're actually could be moving backwards in your business. You could be making less money for certain tasks than you should be making. So definitely you want to consider that hourly pricing when it comes to, should I niche down or should I not? And if you can't create packages with your current services, you definitely should consider niching down. One other terrible thing that happens, which also affects our pockets as unicorn VAs, is inconsistent income. So let's say you're a social media manager who has set packages. You know that every month, your client is going to need the same amount of social media posts. They're going to need that same amount. So you have this package and you can keep them consistent with that because they'll want to, stay committed to their marketing plan. Whereas if you're just an all-purpose VA who's doing many different things, like I found when I was working with my clients as more of a general VA, they would go through a launch and suddenly I'd be working around the clock for them. I would be up all night. I had no balance in my life. And then after that launch was over, my clients would kind of be like, well, we're going to kind of take a break for a while, or I'm going to take a major step back. And again, because I was pricing hourly, I would see a major reduction in my monthly income. So it was really hard to stay consistent when I didn't have like a clear structure for how I was working with clients. So I hear that a lot from new virtual assistants. It's like, I had a really good month and then I had a really bad month. And the way we get out of that is we build packages that allow our clients to work with us on a consistent, ongoing basis. We create that scope of work. We show them why they need us consistently. And it's hard to do that if we're doing a gajillion different things. And kind of the final reason that, being a unicorn VA ends up, not letting you be as profitable as you want to be is it becomes difficult to scale your business. Now, when I talk about scaling your business, what I mean is you've reached that point where you have a full roster of clients. You want to earn more, but you don't have any more time. So there's a couple ways you can earn more, right? You can hire team members. You can start to create passive offers. You can start to create more high ticket offers like VIP days or intensives. But if you don't have a specialty, if you're offering too many different things, it can be really hard to think about what those offers are going to be. So we know that to sell like a digital product, that people need to see you as an expert in whatever your niche is. If you're gonna, create a digital product with Pinterest marketing because you've really come to love it, but on your social media, it kind of seems like you're all over the place. People don't know that Pinterest marketing is really your thing. It becomes harder to sell that. Whereas if you do have a specialty, it's so much easier to come up with ideas on what digital products to offer. It becomes so much easier to market them because people have seen us as that go-to person. And then when it comes to hiring team members, so say you want to bring on subcontractors to support you with your client work so you can bring on new clients. The problem if you're doing too many things is it becomes impossible to train those people, to bring them into your processes, or to even know where they could fit in if your work for your clients is kind of inconsistent. And so when you do have a specialty like podcast management, you're doing the same work for your clients week after week. So it can easy to be like, hey, you're going to edit this episode and publish it. I'm going to do all the marketing. Or, you can start to separate out these different tasks, bring on subcontractors and train them really easily. And as a unicorn VA, that possibility is just not really there. So again, my purpose of today's episode is not to shame you if you've been doing this. It's to open your mind up to the possibilities that exist once you do choose a specialty for your business. As a unicorn VA, the options are so open to you. If you haven't heard my podcast episode about choosing a specialty as a unicorn VA, there's actually an episode where I lay out 4 of the best specialties for multi-talented folks so that you can start to think about how can I use my tech skills, my project management skills, my creative skills, but in a structured way that's going to allow me to scale my business, take the driver's seat in my business, find more structure, find more time and financial freedom, create those dynamic packages, make it easier for clients to find me, all of those things. So definitely listen to that episode or take my Spotlight Your Specialty workshop if you haven't yet. And again, I would love to hear from you. What came up for you during this episode? Is this where you're at in your business right now? Are you that unicorn VA doing everything for everyone? What could you let go of? What could you decide that you're not going to offer anymore? I'd love to hear from you. Send me a DM at the Sharon Nissen on Instagram. I would love to hear what you're dealing with in your business right now. I love hearing from you guys. So let me know what you thought about this episode and I'll see you next week. Thanks so much for tuning into the Support Squad podcast. If you liked this episode, I'd love for you to leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. It makes me feel more connected to you and helps new people find the podcast.